Hey guys, Suck Sports here back with another video, and this time we're going to be doing our week 3 waiver wire pickups. We're going to be discussing which players you must add for week 3, as waivers are tomorrow. So we're going to be discussing who to pick up and who that you can look at for starting and streaming. So for quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, tight ends, and defenses, we'll look at. And we'll start with quarterbacks for week 3. I like Caleb Williams as my pick for QB streamer of the week. He is 63% rostered in leagues, but Caleb Williams plays a bad Dallas defense that gave up a lot of points to Hurts and Russell Wilson. And Caleb's in a position where he's already had two good fantasy performances, throwing for one touchdown in the first game and there's two touchdowns in the previous game against Detroit. While the defenses look terrible for Chicago, he'll get a ton of possessions. I think the Bears will look good on offense this week and a bounce back sort of week at home. I think DJ Moore and Romo are also primed for big games in this one. I think Caleb is the roster pickup of the week for your 10 team leagues. If Caleb's not available in your 10 team leagues at quarterback, which is very possible, I would probably target either Drake May, who might have a tough matchup against Pittsburgh. They have allowed a lot of points to opposing quarterbacks, but I would be very weary of this matchup just because Pittsburgh's defense is very talented and Jalen Ramsey can get a pick and expose the Patriots' very young and inexperienced offensive line. So May is a good pickup for week 3. I like Michael Penix as well for week 3. Carolina's defense didn't allow too many points to Kyler, but I do think Penix bounces back with one or two touchdown passes here. He plays a bad Carolina defense. He has Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and Darnell Mooney fully healthy, as well as Kyle Pitts. So Penix is a good QB stream for this week, and he's rostered in 42% of leagues. So Penix is one of my top QB streamers for this week. And outside of that, I don't like the options too much. Don't love Darnold against the Saints. I think it's an okay matchup, and I'm okay with Cam Ward. I like Mac Jones is in your deeper leagues where he's 6% rostered. If you like him if you're with a 14 team league or if you have a super flex league, Mac Jones is a good pickup for your QB2. But yeah, my top QB streamers are going to be Penix, Drake May, and of course Caleb Williams, all being second year quarterbacks. And for my running back streamers, I'm looking at the trending players mainly, but I like Bashal Tutin as my number one pickup for running back streaming. So with Tutin and here in the mix for Jacksonville's backfield, you also have ETN in the competition for Jacksonville, but Tutin did get 8 carries here and 2 targets against a bad Bengals defense. And while Tutin does have a harder matchup against Houston's defense, Houston did allow a good amount of yards to Bucky Irving and Rashad White. So Tutin's in the spot where he can get potentially a touchdown in this week or 50 to 60 yards if he does get the same amount of carries that he did in week 2 or even more. I think Tutin is the number one pickup for your leagues in terms of running backs for week 3, the waiver wire. He's rostered in about almost half leagues. So I think this is the week to pick him up. And if you don't get him this week, then it's probably unlikely that you get him going forward in your leagues as he's going to continue to get increased usage as Tank Bigsby was traded to the Eagles. So I think Tutin is the number one pickup in your 10 to 12 team leagues in terms of running backs. And if any of the running backs I can spot, I think Ramondre Stevenson is another big pickup. He's already rostered in 6% leagues. This is more for an 8 team league where he might not be available. Ramondre is a good pickup here. The Patriots do have a split backfield between Henderson, Gibson, and Ramondre. So it's kind of eerie to watch out for that. Stevenson's gonna be very, very week to week, and Henderson will only get more involved as the season goes along. So this is a more of a pickup for now and not the long term. I think Tuden is a long term play here, and getting him would be nice. Blake Corum is a guy who you can stash in a 12 team league as a really good handcuff to Kyron Williams. You'll see him get a touchdown or two every few weeks or so. He'll get 5 to 10 carries week to week, depending on if a good game script. Then Corum will get involved in the run game. But this is more of a pickup for your deeper leagues where he's rostered in 14% of leagues. So this is a more of a pickup where if you need a handcuff for your running back, if you have Kyron, it's a good pickup to have, but not someone you want to start on a week to week basis unless Kyron goes down with injury. And those are the running back pickups for this week. I think Tutin's the number one ad if you can get him. Chris Rodriguez would be solid if you don't have him in 8% of leagues he's rostered, since Eckler's going to be out for the season. But JCM is the league running back there. So Chris Rodriguez is more of a deeper league pickup. Quishon Judkins, same thing. He looked solid in the Ravens game, but he's also rostered in most leagues, so he's probably not available in your leagues. Jordan Mason obviously not available. Kenneth Gainwell's an okay pickup, not too high on him. I don't like Miles Sanders too much. So those are your running back pickups. Mainly, I'm eyeing Bashal Tutin in most of my leagues. In terms of wide receivers, there's always a ton. Troy Franklin was one I looked at, but wasn't super high on. But it is someone you can pick up. Bo Nix has that Oregon connection with Troy Franklin, and he did see an increase in targets and has a couple easy matchups coming up with the Bengals and the Jets. So you could see Franklin get some work while Sutton only had one target. This is a very week to week pickup. I think Franklin will be a solid flex to have in a 12-team league, but not someone I target immediately. I want to see one more week from Franklin. But it is worth making a waiver claim for, considering he did have 44 yards in week one and he had a touchdown in week two. Definitely worthwhile an add there. Franklin is definitely an option there. Romeo Dobbs, another player to consider here. He's gotten 4 to 5 targets per game. He's definitely not someone who's going to be a high ceiling. He's more of a spot starter for your bench or flex. But Dobbs is someone you can look at, considering the Packers do score a lot with Jacobs, Golden, Reed, Kraft obviously doing most of the scoring. He's definitely in a crowded receiver room with Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden already there, but Dobbs is a good 12-14 team pickup. I think this is a good pickup with 24% rostered. He's in line for a touchdown every few weeks, so if you want to take a risk on him, you can. Alec Einomaner is another guy that I'm eyeing in my leagues, 29% rostered. Einomaner had 6 targets and a touchdown, and he looks really good against the Rams. And while the Colts pose a not the easiest matchup, not the hardest matchup, a very neutral matchup, Einomaner will get a lot of targets with him being potentially the receiver 2 or 3 if he can pass the Lockett. We'll see. But Einomaner got a good amount of targets. He's a very worthwhile pickup considering how Cam Ward is going to get better week to week. Einomaner will get, I could see him getting 6-7 targets a week, which is a solid flex in a 12-team league. His production will also be very week to week just because the Titans offense is so bad. You might see games where he has 3 points or 2 points, but you also might see those highs where he scores a touchdown or goes for 50 yards like he did in week two. Einomaner is a good stream here this week. And I like Jalen Naylor since Addison is out. And, without Aaron Jones this week, the Vikings could throw the ball more against Cincinnati. Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously a really good pickup. He's only rostered in 29% of leagues. Wan'Dale is one of my top pickups as well. I do have him in one of my other leagues, but he is a PPR threat on the Giants offense, considering he's a receiver 2, right behind Malik Neighbors. And with how much the Giants are throwing the ball here, in the Brian Dable offense, Wan'Dale is a must pick up, only rostered in 29% of leagues, but he is receiver 9 on the season in half PPR. So I would pick up Wan'Dale Robinson, given that he'll continue to get more targets. And we saw last year also that he was able to get a good amount of targets. He averaged only around like 6, 7 to 10 points a game, but in that range of like 7 to 10 points a game. In some games he had more than that, but he's always a consistent target getter, and I think Russ will continue to target him as well. Considering that he's only rostered in less than 30% of leagues, I would definitely target him along with Bachal Tutin and Alec Einomaner. And in terms of other receivers, Quentin Johnson is probably picked up in your leagues at this point. I did pick him up. Same with Chris Rodriguez is someone to eye. Tyquan Thornton did have a touchdown again for the Chiefs, but he's going to be very week to week. This is someone you might want to pick up if you're in a 14 or 16 team league, but I would not target him heavily, considering he's going to be the deep threat option with Juju and Hollywood Brown in the mix. There's too many options there with the Chiefs, and I think they have to spread the ball. So I would not target Tyquan Thornton too heavily in your leagues. And in terms of tight ends, I do like Jake Ferguson if he's available in your leagues. He's obviously available in 66% of. He's also rostered in over 60% of leagues, so I wouldn't target him. If he's unless he's available, then obviously you get him. Harold Fannin, someone I mentioned last week that you should have picked up. Kyle Pitts is someone that I like, but he's obviously rostered in most leagues. We can go to the trending page here and just see some of the tight ends we'll talk about. Jawan Johnson was probably picked up in your leagues, but he's still available in about half. So I'll definitely go after Jawan, considering how much Spencer Rattler likes to throw to him. He's definitely a good option in a bad Saints offense. He's definitely one of the more main targets. And he gets lined up in the slot. Will Keller more likes to play him. So Johnson will continue to see a heavy workload as long as the matchup is solid. I mentioned Ferguson. He's probably, again, my top tight end pickup if he's not. If he's already gone in your leagues, that's fine. You can find someone else like Okonkwo is not terrible. The Titans offense again is gonna be very week to week, so I'd be very cautious getting Okonkwo. Hunter Henry is someone I like a lot. Yes, he had a bad week too, but his weekly week he's gonna be very week to week with the Patriots offense. So he's someone you can start in a like a deeper league, but Henry will continue to see 4 to 5 targets, 6 targets a game. Sometimes again more than that, but very good tight end option in a deeper league. Zach Ertz is probably one of my other big pickups for this week. Jaden Daniels will not be playing, looks like, in week 3, but Mariota will continue to target Hurts as the Commanders continue to use him. He got 8 targets in week 2 against Green Bay, and expect this game to be a pass-heavy game for the Commanders. So I think Ertz will have a solid game again, and he is tight end 3 rostered in about half a league. So Ertz and Juwan Johnson are my top tight end pickups for this week. And in terms of defenses, I like streaming Seattle defense quite a bit. Only rostered in 27% of leagues, and they get an easy matchup against the Saints. I think this is definitely the top defense you want in your waiver wire this week. Considering the talent on Seattle's defense with the one Witherspoon, their safety duo is great. They have Julian Love there. I expect them to get pressure on the Saints and get multiple turnovers, like 2 picks. I can see 2 picks again for them in back-to-back weeks. So Seattle defense is my number one pickup. I also like Tampa Bay defense if available in your leagues. They do play the Jets, and while they've struggled in fantasy, I think this is going to be a bounce back week for the Bucs defense. They almost had a turnover against Stroud last night, but unable to come down with that interception. Levante David was. I like Falcons defense, who got a ton of sacks with Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. in the mix. I think this is an easy matchup against them for Carolina, where Carolina might struggle in the first half and they might put up some garbage time points. Again, I think Atlanta is a good pickup and a good stream in most leagues, considering they're only 4% rostered. I think Atlanta is a must start if you don't have a defense like Buffalo or one of the other top defenses. Atlanta is definitely a good pickup for your leagues. I'm okay on Kansas City. I think they're a solid pickup for your leagues, but I would rather have Atlanta defense. So yeah, Falcons defense, Seattle defense, Tampa Bay defense, my top 3 pickups. And especially in a deeper league where Atlanta is only rostered in 4% of leagues, and getting Carolina this matchup, where the Falcons can get a ton of pressure on the Panthers tackle duo, where Akeem Ekwonu is needed back for Carolina. He's not back yet. We'll see if he comes back this week. I actually don't know his injury. So I'm not sure if he's going to come back now or later, but regardless, the Falcons rookie is looking really good. I expect him to force multiple turnovers, and this is a must start for me. And those are going to be my waiver wire pickups for this week and streaming options that I recommend. Atlanta defense, Juwan Johnson, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Michael Penix. Bashaw Tutin's my number one pickup. Like Quentin Johnson and Juwan Johnson were my top pickups last week. I'm going to label Bashal Tutin as my number one pickup for waiver wire streaming this week. So thank you guys so much for watching this waiver wire video, and we'll see you guys in the next one.